A lot of men get out of a toxic relationship thinking, now that I know the red flags, this will never ever happen to me again. But then they start dating again and realize something terrifying. Their relationship changed them more than they thought. And now they're overanalyzing texts, constantly scanning for red flags, questioning everyone's motives, feeling anxious the moment they start liking someone. But even worse is that part of them still feels intensely pulled towards the exact same kind of emotionally unstable woman. And that's the really scary part because logically, they know the chaos destroyed them, but emotionally, that intensity still feels exciting. The unpredictability still feels intoxicating. The push pull still feels like chemistry. And now they're wondering, what's wrong with me? Why am I attracted to this again? But listen, toxic relationships don't just break your heart, they hijack your nervous system. They distort your attraction patterns. They ruin your ability to trust yourself. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 things that you absolutely need to understand before you start dating again. And at the end of this video, I will explain the biggest mistake men make after a toxic relationship. If you're new here, I'm Lise Leblanc, therapist, author, and life coach, and I help men recover from psychologically destabilizing relationships. Okay, so the first thing you need to understand before you start dating again is this: do not trust intense chemistry too quickly. Because if you go back into dating looking for that instant soulmate connection, that insane chemistry, that feeling of being completely consumed by someone, you are at risk of another toxic relationship. And a lot of men get confused because they think that if the chemistry is so strong, this person must be truly special. But toxic people are very good at creating intense chemistry quickly. The mirroring, the validation, the idealization, the charm, the love bombing, the shape shifting, the intense vulnerability, the feeling that you finally met someone who completely understands you. And that's the hook because you actually don't even know this person. So, when someone feels slightly out of reach, creates anxiety in your nervous system, keeps you guessing, or makes you feel obsessed very quickly, or like you can trust them right away, your brain can interpret that chemistry as love. But healthy people don't try to create instant trust and emotional fusion right off the bat. Healthy relationships build more slowly. Yes, there's excitement, but it's not that insane chemistry. So just know that is not proof that you found your soulmate. Often it's proof that your nervous system is getting hijacked. The second thing you need to know before dating again is that if you're still addicted to your toxic ex, you are not looking for a new partner. You're looking for a replacement drug. And that's a very dangerous place to start dating from. So, if you're still checking her social media all the time, ruminating about her and the relationship constantly, fantasizing about reconciliation, then your nervous system is still hijacked. And I'm not sitting here saying that you need to fully heal before dating again. But if you go into the dating world while you're still addicted and dysregulated, craving relief from withdrawal, then you're not emotionally available and you're looking for relief, and you'll be incredibly vulnerable to getting hooked again. The third thing you need to understand before dating again is that you may no longer trust anyone, including yourself. And this is one of the most damaging effects of a toxic relationship. Because after enough manipulation, betrayals, gaslighting, and instability, you may be questioning your own ability to accurately read people. Now you're wondering, how did I miss this? How did I tolerate this? How did I ignore those red flags? And now you might feel weak, angry, or distrustful, overanalyzing everything, constantly scanning for danger, trying to catch manipulation before it happens. So a delayed text might become suspicious, or a disagreement becomes gaslighting, or a normal need for space becomes a silent treatment. So if you're consumed by anger, bitterness, resentment, or generalized distrust towards women, that will completely distort how you interpret things. And that creates a whole other kind of dysfunction. Because the thing is, healthy people are imperfect too. Healthy women will sometimes be inconsistent, overly emotional, or they'll get disappointed. And if your nervous system is operating from survival mode, you'll be interpreting these things as threat when they're actually normal human behavior. And then you might shut down, withdraw, or get defensive instead of responding with healthy communication and boundaries. So understand this clearly. Healing is not becoming blindly trusting again. Healing is about rebuilding accurate self trust and the ability to calmly recognize the difference between actual red flags and normal human behavior. The fourth thing you need to understand is that you can become deeply invested and attached to a version of someone that doesn't even actually exist. Toxic women often pull men into a fantasy experience where you're initially cast as the hero of her story. And it's intoxicating to suddenly feel deeply needed, chosen, important, like you truly matter, like you finally have purpose and meaning. But that's also what makes these kinds of relationships so dangerous. Because when someone is mirroring you and idealizing you and creating the perfect fantasy future for you, it becomes very easy to emotionally attach to that illusion before reality has time to reveal who she actually is. So you can end up getting attached to a mask, a fantasy, an illusion. And later, when the instability, manipulation, emotional volatility, dishonesty, or lack of accountability starts to show up, you'll feel completely blindsided because that dream turns into a nightmare. Okay, so the next thing you want to know is that you might still be grieving a lot more than you realize because what you're actually grieving is so much deeper than the relationship itself. It's the future you thought you were building, the family you imagined, the version of the woman you fell in love with, and the idealized version of yourself when you were the hero of her story. And you might also be grieving the fact that you gave more than you've ever given in any relationship, and it still wasn't good enough. You sacrificed, tolerated, rescued, abandoned yourself, trying to hold everything together, and still you ended up rejected, betrayed, discarded, replaced, blamed for everything, and painted the villain. And that kind of grief can change a man because after giving everything you had to someone who still discarded or betrayed you, it becomes very hard to approach love the same way again. So if you don't heal that wound before dating again, you won't just be looking for love. You'll be looking for someone to heal you and prove that you were worth loving all along. So consider the fact that grief might still be shaping the way you approach love and intimacy, even if the relationship is over. The sixth thing you need to understand before dating again is that toxic relationships slowly disconnect you from yourself, from your own needs, your instincts, your standards, your boundaries, your dreams, your peace, your passion, your purpose. You just become completely consumed with managing her emotions, stabilizing the relationship, trying to keep her happy. And slowly you start rationalizing and normalizing her bad behavior, the chaos, and maybe even the betrayals that you never thought you would have accepted in a million years. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you lose touch with yourself, maybe without even realizing it. So before dating again, take a moment, reconnect with yourself. What do you actually want in life? What feels healthy for you? What are your boundaries? What kind of relationship do you actually want? Because if you start dating again before you reconnect with yourself, you'll become very vulnerable to getting emotionally consumed by someone else. The seventh thing you need to understand before dating again is that after a toxic relationship, a lot of men are far more emotionally dysregulated than they realize. They're lonely, they're emotionally exhausted, they're hypervigilant, they're afraid of getting hurt, afraid of losing themselves again. So even though you may genuinely want an honest, peaceful, loving relationship, Part of you might still be operating from pain, fear, loneliness, shame, and survival. And when that happens, the same patterns tend to follow you into the next relationship. Different phase, same patterns. So, if you take anything away from this video, let it be this. Healthy love is not supposed to feel like psychological warfare. It's not supposed to rob you of your identity or destroy your peace of mind or your nervous system. And if you don't slow down and understand what this relationship actually did to you before you start dating again, there is a good chance you'll walk right back into the same emotional pain wearing a different face. Because healing is not just learning how to spot toxic people, it's learning how to stop abandoning yourself, how to stop chasing people who make you feel emotionally addicted, how to stop choosing fantasy over reality, and how to stop looking for relationships to repair wounds that only you can heal. So ask yourself honestly, if a genuinely healthy, emotionally stable woman walked into your life right now, would you actually be capable of sustaining the relationship without collapsing into your old patterns? If this video resonated with you, type break free in the comments section below. And if you're serious about healing and rebuilding yourself after a toxic relationship, check out my toxic relationship recovery program that I linked below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.